In the darkest corners of our world, evil forces work tirelessly, but they share one common fear, the fear of authentic, powerful prayer. These aren't just any prayers, these are the prayers that have echoed through centuries, making demons flee in absolute terror. Today, I'm revealing 5 specific prayers that have been proven through generations to be spiritual weapons of extraordinary power. These aren't complex ritualistic chants or secret incantations. They're pure, powerful prayers that anyone can use, but few know about. What makes these prayers so special? Unlike common prayers, these 5 carry a specific spiritual authority that dark forces immediately recognize. Think of them as spiritual spotlight beams. The moment they're spoken, darkness has no place to hide. You're about to discover prayers that ancient spiritual warriors used to protect themselves and their loved ones. These same prayers are still just as effective today, yet most people have never heard of them. Some of these prayers are so potent that they don't just repel evil, they create an impenetrable spiritual shield around you. Listen carefully, because each word matters. The way you pray is just as important as what you pray. I'll show you exactly how to use these prayers effectively, when to use them, and most importantly, why they work so powerfully against dark forces. The knowledge you're about to receive isn't just theory, it's practical spiritual warfare at its most effective. By the end of this video, you'll have 5 powerful prayers in your spiritual arsenal, ready to use whenever you face darkness in your life. Get ready to discover the prayers that have made demons tremble throughout history, the same prayers that can transform your spiritual life today. Standing in authority through prayer is more than just speaking words. It's about wielding spiritual power that makes darkness shudder. Prayer of authority draws its strength from an ancient truth: light always overcomes darkness, and higher authority always supersedes lower authority. Most people pray from a position of weakness, begging and pleading for help, but authority prayer operates differently. It speaks with divine confidence, knowing evil must bow before heavenly authority. This isn't about human power, it's about speaking through granted spiritual authority that extends beyond earthly realms. When darkness encounters authority prayer, it recognizes something far greater than human words. It hears commands backed by divine power. Much like how a police officer's badge carries governmental authority, these prayers carry spiritual authority that dark forces must respect and obey. Specific phrases within authority prayers create immediate impact. Starting with declarations like, "Through divine authority granted to me," or "By heavenly power vested in me," establishes spiritual positioning. Following these openings with clear, authoritative commands leaves no room for evil to negotiate or resist. Ancient spiritual texts reveal how authority prayers were used to drive out darkness from people, places, and situations. These weren't mere suggestions or requests, they were powerful commands that expected immediate obedience. Modern application of these same principles produces identical results because spiritual laws remain constant. One crucial element of authority prayer involves speaking with absolute certainty. Doubt weakens authority, but conviction strengthens it. When praying with authority, each word should carry weight and purpose. Commands like "Depart now" or "Release your hold," spoken with spiritual authority, create immediate response in spiritual realms. Authority prayer also establishes boundaries that dark forces cannot cross. By declaring protected spaces and relationships, it creates spiritual barriers that evil must respect. This isn't about shouting or emotional display. It's about calm, confident exercise of spiritual authority that knows its words carry divine backing. Practicing authority prayer regularly strengthens spiritual muscles and builds holy confidence. Each successful engagement with darkness reinforces divine authority and weakens evil's ability to resist future commands. This creates expanding circles of spiritual influence where darkness finds it increasingly difficult to operate or maintain any foothold. Secret to powerful authority prayer lies in knowing whose authority backs every word. This isn't personal power or religious ritual. It's about standing in granted authority that makes demons tremble because they recognize who stands behind these commands. Ancient spiritual warriors discovered something profound about protective prayer. It creates an invisible but impenetrable barrier against evil forces. Shield prayers form spiritual armor so powerful that demons not only flee, but find themselves unable to penetrate this divine protection. Most striking aspect of shield prayers lies in their preventive power. While other prayers often react to spiritual attacks, shield prayers establish protection before evil can strike. This proactive approach creates spiritual fortification that demons recognize and actively avoid. Speaking shield prayers releases layers of spiritual protection around people, places, and possessions. Each layer adds strength to divine defense, making penetration increasingly difficult for dark forces. Think of it as building spiritual walls with supernatural reinforcement that evil cannot breach. Powerful shield prayers begin by establishing divine covering over mind, body, and spirit. Words like, "I am covered by divine light," or "sacred protection surrounds me completely," create immediate spiritual barriers. These declarations activate heavenly protection that dark forces can see and must respect. Historical accounts tell of entire communities protected by shield prayers during times of spiritual warfare. These prayers created safe havens where evil could not enter or operate. Same principles work today. Shield prayers still establish protected spaces where darkness loses its power to influence or harm. Critical elements of shield prayer include completeness and consistency. Protection must cover every aspect of life, leaving no gaps for evil to exploit. Regular renewal of these prayers maintains spiritual shields at full strength, preventing weak points where darkness might attempt breakthrough. Shield prayers also protect relationships and loved ones. By extending spiritual coverage over family members, friends, and connections, it creates networks of divine protection. This expanded shield prevents dark forces from using relationships as entry points for spiritual attacks. Most effective shield prayers incorporate declarations of divine light. Since darkness cannot exist in presence of light, these declarations create environments hostile to evil forces. Phrases like "divine light surrounds and fills this space" establish protective barriers that demons find impossible to penetrate. Maintaining shield prayers requires spiritual alertness, but not anxiety. It's about staying aware while resting in confidence of divine protection. Regular strengthening of these spiritual shields through prayer creates lasting security that evil forces learn to avoid entirely. Shield prayers work in partnership with faith, creating synergy between belief and divine protection. As faith grows stronger, spiritual shields become more impenetrable. This partnership produces protection so powerful that dark forces not only flee, but warn others about futility of attacking these divine barriers. Result of consistent shield prayer becomes evident in peace that surrounds protected spaces and people. Where these prayers exist, chaos subsides, confusion clears, and evil loses its ability to create disruption. This peace serves as testimony to effectiveness of shield prayers in spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare through prayer represents one of the most potent weapons against dark forces. Unlike passive prayers, warfare prayers actively engage in spiritual combat, pushing back darkness and reclaiming territory from evil influence. Most profound aspect of warfare prayer lies in its offensive nature. While other prayers create defense or protection, warfare prayers advance against evil strongholds. These prayers carry divine power that systematically dismantles dark operations and breaks demonic strategies. Warfare prayers operate on principles of spiritual confrontation. Each declaration serves as spiritual ammunition, precisely targeted to break specific strongholds. Words like, "I demolish every evil fortress," and "all dark schemes crumble now," release divine power that shatters demonic resistance. Ancient spiritual texts describe warfare prayers as weapons that pierce darkness with light. These prayers don't merely ask for help, they actively participate in spiritual battles. Modern application of warfare prayer follows same pattern: systematic, strategic, and unrelenting pressure against forces of darkness. Power of warfare prayer comes through persistent engagement. Like ancient armies laying siege to enemy strongholds, warfare prayers maintain consistent pressure until breakthrough occurs. This sustained spiritual assault weakens evil's grip until it finally breaks completely. Critical components of warfare prayer include identification of targets and precise spiritual strikes. By naming specific strongholds or areas of darkness, these prayers focus divine power where needed most. Such precision increases effectiveness and speeds up breakthrough in spiritual battles. Warfare prayers also break generational curses and dismantle long-standing evil influences. Through declarations like, "I break every inherited bondage," and "generational chains shatter now," these prayers destroy evil's multi-generational strategies. Each prayer strike weakens dark foundations until they collapse entirely. Most effective warfare prayers combine authority with strategic timing. Knowing when to press forward and when to hold position maximizes impact of each prayer assault. This spiritual discernment ensures resources focus where they'll produce greatest breakthrough. Building momentum in warfare prayer creates cumulative effect against evil forces. Each prayer adds pressure. Each declaration increases intensity until dark resistance finally breaks. This progressive spiritual assault leaves no room for evil to regroup or reinforce its position. Results of warfare prayer often manifest gradually, then suddenly. Like water pressure building against dam, consistent prayer pressure eventually causes complete breakthrough. When evil's resistance finally breaks, transformation happens rapidly across all affected areas. Warfare prayer requires courage, but guarantees victory when properly applied. By standing firm in divine authority and maintaining strategic prayer assault, breakthrough becomes inevitable. Dark forces may resist initially but cannot withstand sustained warfare prayer focused on their complete removal. Light prayer stands as one of most formidable weapons against spiritual darkness, wielding pure divine radiance that makes demons scatter in terror. When light prayers pierce spiritual atmosphere, darkness has nowhere to hide. It must flee or be consumed by overwhelming brightness. Sacred texts speak of light's supreme authority over darkness. Light prayers tap into this fundamental spiritual law, releasing waves of divine illumination that expose and eliminate evil presence. Each word spoken becomes a beam of light, cutting through spiritual shadows with unstoppable force. Most profound impact of light prayer comes through its revealing power. Demons cannot maintain their deception when divine light exposes their presence. Words like "sacred light fills every corner" and "divine radiance exposes all darkness" trigger immediate spiritual illumination that evil cannot withstand. Ancient spiritual warriors used light prayers to cleanse entire regions of demonic influence. By invoking divine light, they created environments where darkness could not operate or exist. These same principles work today. Light prayers still cleanse spaces and break dark power through spiritual illumination. Power of light prayer flows from its absolute nature. Darkness must yield when light appears. No amount of evil resistance can prevent light's penetrating power. Each declaration of divine light pushes back darkness until spaces become completely illuminated by spiritual radiance. Critical elements of light prayer include persistence and expansion. Starting with focused points of light, these prayers gradually expand illumination until entire areas glow with divine presence. This systematic approach ensures no shadows remain where darkness might try to hide. Light prayers transform atmospheres by establishing permanent spiritual illumination. Unlike temporary victories, light prayers create lasting change through established divine radiance. Phrases like "permanent divine light now dwells here" establish ongoing spiritual brightness that repels dark forces. Most effective light prayers combine declaration with spiritual authority. By speaking with confidence in light's supreme power, these prayers release maximum spiritual impact. Each word carries divine weight that forces darkness to retreat before advancing illumination. Building intensity in light prayer creates overwhelming spiritual pressure against evil forces. As divine light grows stronger, darkness finds itself increasingly unable to resist or remain. This mounting spiritual radiance eventually forces complete evacuation of dark presence. Results of light prayer manifest through noticeable atmospheric changes. Where darkness once dominated, peace and clarity emerge. Spaces filled with divine light become naturally repulsive to evil forces, creating safe zones where darkness struggles to regain any influence. Light prayer operates as both weapon and protection, simultaneously pushing back darkness while establishing divine safeguards. Through consistent application, these prayers transform environments into beacons of spiritual light that automatically repel evil presence and influence. Binding prayers represent one of most decisive spiritual weapons, effectively restraining evil forces and preventing their operations. When spoken with authority, these prayers create supernatural chains that restrict demonic activity and limit dark influence in targeted areas. Ancient spiritual texts reveal binding prayers as tools for neutralizing evil operations. Much like physical restraints limit physical movement, spiritual binding restricts demonic ability to act or influence. Each word spoken tightens divine restraints around dark forces until they become completely immobilized. Most powerful aspect of binding prayer lies in its ability to stop evil activity instantly. By declaring, "I bind every dark force," or "all evil influence stops now," these prayers activate immediate spiritual restraints. Demons find themselves unable to continue their operations when faced with properly executed binding prayers. Binding prayers work through divine authority, creating supernatural restrictions that evil must obey. These aren't mere suggestions or requests, they're spiritual commands that force dark compliance. When binding prayers take effect, demons lose their ability to resist or continue their activities. Critical components of binding prayer include specificity and completeness. By naming exact activities or influences being bound, these prayers ensure comprehensive spiritual restraint. Nothing should escape attention. Each aspect of evil operation must face specific binding declarations. Power of binding prayer grows through systematic application. Starting with identified dark activities, binding extends to support systems and networks until entire evil operations face complete spiritual lockdown. This methodical approach ensures no aspect of darkness remains free to operate. Binding prayers also prevent future evil operations by establishing permanent spiritual restrictions. Declarations like "I bind all future attempts" and "no evil shall pass these bounds" create lasting barriers against dark forces. These preventive measures stop evil before it can establish new footholds. Most effective binding prayers combine immediate restraint with long-term restrictions. While stopping current evil activity provides immediate relief, establishing permanent boundaries prevents future problems. This dual approach creates comprehensive spiritual security against dark operations. Results of binding prayer often manifest through sudden cessation of evil activity. Where darkness once operated freely, binding prayers create immediate limitations. Evil forces find themselves increasingly restricted until their influence completely stops in affected areas. Maintaining binding prayers requires vigilance but produces lasting results. Regular reinforcement of spiritual restrictions prevents dark forces from testing boundaries or finding new ways to operate. This consistent attention ensures binding prayers retain their full power over time. Binding prayer serves as spiritual enforcement of divine authority over darkness. By actively restricting evil operations, these prayers demonstrate heaven's supreme power over dark forces. Each successful binding reinforces this authority and weakens evil's ability to resist future restrictions. Through systematic application of binding prayers, spaces and lives previously troubled by darkness find freedom and peace. Evil forces learn to avoid areas where binding prayers actively operate, creating expanding zones of spiritual safety and protection. Inside this arsenal of 5 divine prayers lies power beyond measure, spiritual weapons that have proven their strength across centuries of warfare against darkness. Each prayer serves unique purpose, yet together they form complete system of spiritual defense and offense that leaves evil forces trembling. Prayer of authority establishes divine positioning, reminding dark forces who stands behind every command. Through this spiritual stance, demons recognize power greater than themselves and must submit to authoritative declarations. Every word spoken carries weight of heaven itself, forcing evil to flee before divine authority. Shield prayers create impenetrable barriers against dark attacks, establishing safe spaces where evil cannot operate. These protective declarations surround lives, relationships, and environments with divine light so powerful that demons avoid even attempting penetration. Through consistent shield prayers, entire atmospheres transform into spiritually secured zones. Warfare prayers take offensive position, actively dismantling evil strongholds and breaking dark influence wherever it hides. These strategic spiritual weapons systematically destroy demonic operations, leaving no room for darkness to maintain its grip. Through persistent warfare prayer, breakthrough becomes inevitable as evil resistance crumbles under divine pressure. Light prayers release waves of divine radiance that expose and eliminate dark presence. No shadow remains hidden when these prayers illuminate spiritual atmospheres. Evil forces scatter before advancing light, unable to maintain deception or continue operations when faced with divine brightness that fills every corner. Binding prayers complete this spiritual arsenal by restricting evil activity and preventing dark forces from regaining lost ground. Through specific declarations, these prayers create supernatural restraints that demons cannot break or escape. Binding ensures complete victory by stopping evil operations permanently. Together, these 5 prayers create comprehensive spiritual victory strategy. From establishing authority to maintaining protection, from offensive warfare to illuminating darkness, from binding evil to preventing its return, each prayer plays a vital role in securing lasting freedom from dark influence. Power lies not just in knowing these prayers, but in applying them consistently with faith and conviction. Each declaration spoken builds spiritual momentum. Each prayer offered strengthens divine presence until darkness finds itself completely overwhelmed by heaven's authority manifested through prayer. Results speak through transformed lives and atmospheres where evil once held sway. Peace replaces chaos, clarity dispels confusion, and divine light pushes back shadows until darkness loses all influence. These aren't temporary victories, but permanent changes established through persistent prayer. Most remarkable aspect remains accessibility of these spiritual weapons to all who would use them. No special status required, only willing hearts ready to stand in divine authority and declare truth against darkness. Through these prayers, anyone can participate in pushing back evil and establishing divine light. Before concluding this powerful revelation, pause briefly and reflect on the significance of what's been shared. These prayers represent spiritual heritage, passed down through generations of faithful warriors. Now they pass into your hands, ready for immediate use against whatever darkness you face. If you found value in discovering these powerful spiritual weapons, take a moment now to support this channel's mission. By clicking like button, you help others find these vital truths. Subscribing ensures you never miss future revelations of spiritual warfare strategies and prayer weapons against darkness. Most importantly, begin using these prayers immediately. Don't wait for perfect moment or complete understanding. Start declaring truth against darkness today. Every prayer spoken weakens evil's grip and strengthens divine presence in your sphere of influence. Share this knowledge with others facing spiritual battles. Spread word about power available through these specific prayers. Together, we can create expanding circles of divine light that push back darkness wherever it tries to operate. Remember, darkness trembles not because of human words, but because of divine authority backing these prayers. Stand confidently in this truth as you begin implementing these powerful spiritual weapons in your own life and circumstances. Click subscribe now to join a growing community of spiritual warriors learning to effectively combat darkness through prayer. Together, we'll continue exploring deeper truths and stronger weapons for spiritual victory. Until next time, stay strong in faith and persistent in prayer. Victory belongs to those who stand firmly in divine authority and refuse to give ground to darkness. Go forth now and apply these prayers with confidence, knowing heaven backs every word spoken in true spiritual authority.